Thanks, Mike. Happening now, our Matt Mulcahy is in Newtown, Connecticut, taking a look at the very latest on how the community is coping with Friday's tragedy. He joins us now with the latest. Matt, good evening.
Well, Katie, what a busy day it's been here in Newtown, Connecticut, in Sandy Hook, the hamlet. My first impressions as I came in here today were one of how solemn it instantly becomes when you get anywhere near the center of town. People are walking the streets with flowers in hand, teddy bears in their arms, and not concerned at all about how far they have to walk to get to a place where they can pay proper respects to the victims of this. Now, of course, the big news at the moment is the president. He's here at Newtown High School talking with the grieving families, a public memorial service. He arrived at Hartford Airport, had to be part of a motorcade down Route 84 to get here late in the day today. In fact, some of the people that are part of the reporting compound here got stuck because roads got shut down by area police and also the Secret Service, of course, who's handling tight security as the president makes his visit here. He'll be out of town as quickly as he can wrap up at the memorial service and move on as he mourns with the entire country. One of the experiences I had as we continue to think about what happened on Friday is talking with some of the people that were here today out of no other reason other than a draw that they felt to come to the area. I talked to one father who brought his wife and two young children. They parked, they had to walk about a mile to get to the Sandy Hook Fire Department, that familiar spot which you've seen on television, which is right near the school where all this took place. And I talked with the father because I saw that he was shedding tears as he's looking at this row of 27 Christmas trees, one for each of the victims of this terrible tragedy at the hands of the shooter on Friday morning. And there he was with his 9-year-old girl, his 11-year-old son, who each had something to put on one of those Christmas trees, whether it be a flower or a teddy bear, which has become a popular symbol here. And the father and the mother and the children, they were all weeping. And the only reason they came was he just felt compelled. He was in the region. He lives in Boston, but he has family here in Connecticut. And he really felt that sense that he couldn't go back home without coming here and teaching his children a lesson of how important it is to remember such a terrible time in our nation's history. He also pointed out something which I thought was very poignant. He says it just doesn't feel right to celebrate Christmas. And he thought the best way to celebrate Christmas was by coming here and paying his respects. We'll continue our coverage from here, bring you more on our station, and also some photos and other ideas that I've come up with and thoughts that we'll share on our Facebook and Twitter as well. Katie?
This morning, we continue our coverage of this tragedy live from Newtown, Connecticut. Our Matt Mulcahy has been there this weekend, and he joins us this morning with the latest information. And Matt, I can't even imagine just the grief and how somber it must be there this morning.
Well, Lisa, it's a murky, chilly, damp start to this Monday here in Newtown. And I pulled into the hamlet of Sandy Hook this morning. One reminder that it is Christmas, or almost Christmas, was the Christmas tree all lit up, and there have been trees set aside for each of the victims of this shooting from last Friday in one of the memorials right next to the firehouse. Now, last night it was the president who came to Newtown to be with this community as it grieved together. There were first responders there, families of the victims, also community members and community leaders who are trying to get this town through the worst grief one can imagine. Here's what the president had to say last night.
We can't tolerate this anymore. These tragedies must end. And to end them, we must change.
And just as other parts of the nation try to move on from this tragedy, that will not be happening here. This week is going to be extremely difficult. Later today, the wake for James Mattioli, the 6-year-old whose mother grew up in our own backyard, who went to VVS High School, a Central New Yorker. Her parents still live there. Well, that wake will take place for James, and he had an obituary that certainly is memorable. His parents wrote in that obituary that he loved hamburgers and ketchup. It's the kind of child he was, full of life. His mother's even updated her Facebook page with a photo of her beautiful son, and also keeping in mind she still has a daughter named Anna, who she's holding even closer today. Lisa?
Matt Mulcahy live in Connecticut. Matt, thanks so much. Indeed, a beautiful little boy there.
Our team coverage continues tonight in Newtown, Connecticut. Matt Mulcahy is at Sandy Hook Elementary School as the first funerals were held today. 2 victims with local ties will be laid to rest later on this week. Matt?
Well, Megan, around the Newtown community, memorials continue to grow at various locations, street corners, Christmas trees. But for the people who live in this community, they're moving past the symbolism because they have to deal with reality, funerals and wakes for children.
The time for remembering faceless names of children with tokens of love has transitioned into a time to celebrate the real young people they were becoming. James Mattioli's family makes a point of saying he was 6 3/4. They began the public part of their grieving process this afternoon at a funeral home in neighboring Monroe. Central New York relatives have joined the family in Connecticut for the wake and the funeral. James's grandparents still live in Sherrill. His mother, Cindy Radley Mattioli, is a VBS graduate. The little boy's obituary recalls how he loved to cuddle on the couch with his mother. Family says he was a mini version of his father. People attending the wake will be reminded how James, or Jay, loved to swim and sing, and wear shorts and a t-shirt in any weather. The Connecticut weather remained dark and dreary while a heavy police presence kept watch over school buildings. Even without any threats, officers stood guard as a sign of reassurance in schools outside of Newtown. Most students return to school tomorrow or Wednesday for a few days before the Christmas break.
We are holding both crime scenes, the school and the secondary crime scene, indefinitely. We've seized it under search warrants, and we're going to hold those locations until we've completed our work and we feel it is appropriate to let them go.
Sandy Hook Elementary is still a crime scene. The surviving children will ultimately resume school in a different building. But first, a community in mourning forges ahead. The beginning of 20 funerals for children.
And late this afternoon and into this evening, that wake for James Mattioli, well, the traffic is backed up. People are waiting in lines outside the funeral home. In fact, they had to set up extra parking at a shopping plaza nearby. That's how intense the grief is and how many people want to come out to support the family. Megan?
Matt Mulcahy live for us in Newtown, Connecticut tonight. Matt, thank you.